Hi everyone, welcome back to TechCravers, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, yes, Anbernic is back with yet another handheld console, but this time it's something a bit more premium. Introducing their latest device, the RG477M. And if you've been following Anbernic's naming conventions, that little M at the end should give you a hint. Yep, we're talking about one of their signature metal-cased handhelds. Anbernic has built a reputation for solid build quality, nostalgic designs and steady stream of new devices, and with the 477M they're once again aiming to blend retro charm with premium materials and modern performance. So what exactly set this handheld apart? Is it just another iteration, or is there something to get more excited about this time around? So in this video I'll be sharing my thoughts after spending a few days testing and playing around with the RG477M. I'll walk you through what I like about it, what stands out, and if there is anything, what I'm not so thrilled about. As always, I'll keep it honest and hands-on, based entirely on my own experience using this device, so whether you're considering picking one up or you're just curious about what Anbernic has cooked up this time, stick around and let's get into it. Unboxing the RG477M is, with one major exception that I'll get to in just a second, pretty much what you expect from Anbernic. But instead of the usual small compartment tucked beneath the handheld, this time there's a full-sized box that spans the entire bottom of the packaging. Inside that box you'll find a charging cable, a quick start guide and a screen protector, the standard accessories we've learned to appreciate from Anbernic. But the real surprise here is the inclusion of a case. It's made of plastic or possibly a soft silicone, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it fits the device perfectly. It wraps tightly around the RG447M's otherwise cold and slightly slippery metal shell, giving it a more secure and comfortable feel in the hand. It makes a noticeable difference when it comes to grip and comfort. Alright, let's jump into the specs, so we actually know what we're working with here. Starting with the CPU, the RG477M is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 8300, a capable and efficient 8-core processor, and it's the same chip that we saw earlier this year in the RG557. And based on that device's performance, we already know it handles a wide range of platforms very well. If you're curious to learn more about how it performs in practice, go check out my video on the RG557 after this one. Paired with the CPU is a Mali G650 MC6 GPU, which delivers strong graphical performance, more than enough for emulation up to higher end systems and Android gaming. It's not quite flagship tier, but for a handheld like this it offers a great balance of power and efficiency. And this time around Anbernic is offering two versions, one with 8GB of LPDDR5X RAM and 128GB of internal storage, and a higher end model, which is the one I'm using, that comes with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. And regardless of which version you pick, both of them supports micro SD cards up to 2TB, so you got plenty of room for your retro library. The screen is another familiar component, and that's a good thing. It's the same gorgeous 4.7-inch LCD we saw on the RG slide, with a resolution of 1280 by 960 and an authentic 4:3 aspect ratio. It also boasts a 120Hz refresh rate, making everything feel buttery smooth during gameplay and navigation. Battery-wise, we're looking at a 5300 mAh battery, which Anbernic claims will give you around 7 hours of use. In reality though, I'd say that's more of a best case scenario. Expect an average closer to 5 hours, depending on what you're doing. The good news is that it supports 27W fast charging, so topping it up doesn't take that long. A few other standout features worth mentioning: there's a built-in gyroscope support, 1080p video output via USB-C, Hall effect joysticks with customizable RGB lighting, and the device comes with Anbernic AI pre-installed. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my dedicated video on Anbernic AI, it's definitely worth a look after this one. And when it comes to controls and layout, Anbernic has played it safe, and honestly that's a smart move. They stuck with a tried and true design that they know works very well. And while Anbernic has occasionally made some odd choices in previous handhelds, maybe button placement that felt off or sticks that were a bit too loose, this time it really feels like they've nailed it. They have chosen exactly the right components for the job. The joysticks are just the right size with satisfying amount of resistance, not too stiff and not too loose, and they feel accurate and responsive during gameplay. The action button strikes a near perfect balance between being clicky and soft. They're not too overly stiff, but there's enough tactile feedback to give every press a sense of precision. And now let's talk about the D-pad, which in my opinion might be the best I've ever used on a handheld like this. It's responsive, smooth and has just the right amount of travel. Whether you're playing retro platformers or more input-sensitive games like fighting titles, this D-pad just delivers. The shoulder buttons are another highlight. They're solid, satisfying, clicky and feel reliable, no sponginess or wobble here. The only drawback is that they're stacked. That stacked layout can be a bit awkward in racing games or shooters, where you want fast access to both sets of triggers. But to be fair, for the kind of retro and Android games this handheld is really meant for, I'd say it's a pretty minor issue. And for most players, probably a non-issue. All in all, Anbernic has already stepped up their games in this department. The layout is intuitive, the components feel high quality, and it's a genuinely pleasant device to use for extended play sessions. And speaking of long play sessions, one thing to keep in mind with metal case handhelds is that they tend to get noticeably warmer than their plastic siblings. That's simply because metal conducts and absorbs heat much more efficiently than plastic, so while it can help distribute heat away from the internal components, it also means the outer shell heats up faster and holds that heat longer. After playing for extended periods, large parts of the RG477M can reach surface temperatures of around 42 to 45 degrees Celsius, or roughly 107 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, it's not hot by any means, not dangerous, not burning, but it's definitely warmer than your average handheld. So if you're sensitive to heat or just find it uncomfortable to hold a warm device for a long time, that's something to keep in mind. The included silicone case does help insulate that warmth a bit, which is another reason I'm glad it's here. Let's talk some about gaming performance and more specifically PlayStation 2 performance, because that's where the RG477M really starts to earn its place. PS2 emulation has long been a benchmark for handheld performance. It's demanding, often inconsistent, and even today many devices struggle to run heavier titles smoothly. But with the Dimensity 8300 chip under the hood, this device handles PS2 surprisingly well. I've tested several titles, including some of the absolute toughest games to emulate, like God of War 2 and Burnout 3 Takedown. And here's the thing, both of these are notorious for pushing emulators to their limits. God of War 2 is heavy on effects and dynamic environments, while Burnout 3 features incredibly fast-paced gameplay with tons of physics and particle effects happening at once. And yet on the RG477M, both games run shockingly well with just minor tweaks in the emulator settings. The thing is that you're gonna get almost locked 60 FPS in every moment. It's a massive step up from what we were seeing even just a generation ago in handheld emulation. What makes this even better is that Anbernic does a great job setting up the software out of the box. The device comes with emulators pre-installed, controls mapped, and in many cases visual enhancements like upscaling or filtering already configured. All you need to do is to provide your own legally dumped game files and you're up and running in minutes. Honestly, this should be the gold standard. No more shady preloaded ROMs, no more half-baked software setups. Let's let companies focus on delivering solid hardware and let us, the community, use our own game collections responsibly. It's better for the hobby, it's better for the market, and it's a huge step toward making these devices more mainstream and sustainable. Okay, I admit I gone slightly off topic there, but to bring it back around, thanks to the CPU and GPU combo in this device, you can expect to run most of your PS2 and GameCube games at 2x resolution right out of the box. With little to no tweaking required, it's pretty much plug and play for the vast majority of titles, including graphical demanding Android games like Genshin Impact or as here in Horizon Chase. Of course, I haven't had time to test every single game, but based on the ones I have played, including some of the harder ones like God of War 2 and Burnout 3, I feel confident recommending the RG477M if your main focus is higher end systems like PS2 and GameCube. Now, when it comes to Switch or Wii U emulation, that's where things get a little tricky. The Dimensity 8300 is solid, but it's not really designed for those platforms. If that's your goal, I'd suggest looking at a handheld powered by something like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 or newer. Those chips offer the extra headroom you'll need for those more demanding modern systems. Now let's quickly go through the price and availability. Pre-orders open on August 2nd and the pricing is pretty straightforward. $220 for the 8GB RAM 128GB storage version, and $270 for the upgraded 12GB RAM and 256GB storage model. And if you're quick, there's an early bird discount of $20 available during the first 72 hours after launch. Keep in mind those prices are before shipping. As for which version to get, I'd say the base model will be more than enough for most users. Unless you're planning to experiment with things like win later or more intensive Android tasks, you probably won't need the extra RAM. And even then, I'm not entirely convinced that the RG477M is the best pick for that kind of use anyway. And there you have it, my first impressions and review of the brand new RG477M metal case handheld from Anbernic. What do you think of this device, or metal handles in general? Do you love the premium feel, or do you prefer the lighter plastic builds? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment down below and let's talk about it. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. I've got more handheld reviews, deep dives and retro gaming goodness coming soon, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.